Please enjoy this message from David Arquette sent in by the fabulous Carrie Tenney.
Hey Ryan, how are you? Thanks for doing the Scream podcast.
Like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
You are listening to Scream with Ryan C. Showers, the podcast for Scream fans just like you. Join Ryan every week as he takes a deep dive into the horror film series that defined the 90s and redefined the genre. Scream with Ryan C. Showers is your source for scene and quote analysis, character dissections, and the latest news about upcoming installments of the Scary Movie franchise.
I hear you like horror movies, Kirby, but do you like them as much as him?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Welcome to episode 209. This is the tribute to Jill Roberts, and oh my gosh, happy Scream 4 Day. So this is premiering literally on April 15th, which is Scream 4 Day. Scream 4 was released in theaters 15 years ago. Not 15 years ago, 14 years ago. We're still in 2025. 14 years ago. Today it was released in theaters, so hurrah, hurrah. I was there in theaters, my first Scream movie in theaters. Ash, you were there. Was Scream 4 your first movie in theaters for Scream?
Yes, definitely was.
So in this episode, we actually met with the big group of Scream with Ryan C. Showers, the Patreon. We had a nice Zoom giving Jill Roberts a tribute. I objectively think Jill is the best killer. She's my second favorite after Roman. So it was, and she's very, very popular. And a lot of the Patreons, like you'll hear them come on and they're so passionate about her. So I knew that this would be a good topic for the group. So, but Ash and I kind of kept a lower profile, just because the Patreon Zooms are about the Patrons, right? So I'm excited to talk to Ashley about Jill Roberts, especially because I know Scream 4 is Ashley's favorite sequel. So Ash, Jill Roberts.
Jill, I love Jill so much. Like, I mean, I don't ever want to be around her, but I think she's fantastic. I've heard a lot of people criticize her for this particular thing, but when she is like literally setting up the final moments and she's physically harming herself, some people are like, why would she do that? And I'm like, why wouldn't she do that? And also, she's like one of the only ghost face, like, look, at that point that she was like, I'm going to stab myself. I'm not going to let this Charlie guy come near me. Like, I'm going to do it myself. And she's so manipulative and she loves ruining things is how I would maybe describe her. And she just has so much, you can see, it feels like she's having so much fun underneath this like cloak of that. She just isn't giving off that she's having fun. But once you know that it's Jill and you rewatch Scream 4, I feel like she's just like on the edge of her seat wanting to scream at everybody like, I'm planning this. This is me. I'm doing it. And like any bitch that can throw herself into a coffee table to try to frame somebody, like, I mean, terrible, but I appreciate it, to be honest.
Well, so the thing about Jill, in my opinion, like the reason why I think she's so great, and like, it's funny because even though, like, so again, sometimes it's hard to remember that there was life before Scream 5 and 6. Like back then, when it was just the original trilogy in 4, Scream 4 was technically at the bottom of my ranking just because I'm such an original trilogy purist, but I love it, of course. But, but even with that, Jill has always been my number 2 killer after Roman, like, in my personal ranking. It's never been a question. It's never been something I've wavered on. It's always gone Roman, Jill, since the minute I saw Scream 4, 14 years ago, sitting in theaters on that Friday night. I think she is sensational. And like for me, she has the total package, with all the killers offer something different, right? But I just want to run through what I think, in terms of like Jill in terms of being a Ghostface killer, she has it all. Like, she has an amazing motive that is really deep and personal for her, but also it reflects something larger within the culture. There's a deep meaning to who Jill is as the killer within the larger story of Scream. And also, she has a lot of screen time both before the reveal and after the reveal. She has an amazing amount of screen time. In fact, I say this in the main show, but like, had they included the deleted scenes of Scream 4 in the theatrical cut, which I would have preferred, she would have had more screen time just by 20 seconds than Sydney. So, and I think that's cool. I mean, she is the movie in a lot of respects. Like, she's the reason for the season, which, some killers you can say that, some you can't. She actually does get to kill people in and outside of the costume, which I think is really important. Like, she has multiple people. She has the huge element of surprise. Like, she is a shocking Ghostface killer. And something that's important to me is like the fact that she is family, that there's a blood relationship, that there is a deep connection with Sydney, even if she and Sydney don't know each other super well. That's something that's really, really important for a good killer. So all of those things combined, I think she is just she's, objectively, kind of the best. She's the smartest. She practically gets away with it. She does get away with it for a little bit of time. And, I think it's made even better by Emma Roberts' performance. Like, everything that I just listed out, you can check all those boxes, but like at the end of the day, if you don't have Emma Roberts giving this like she's walking a very fine line between like camp and being crazy, and she's very, very funny, and that really sticks with you. And even though she's completely insane and completely psychotic and dangerous and horrible, she is somewhat endearing because of how funny she is and how much the humor in what she says comes from the camp, but also represents a generation, right? So she's just so memorable. Like, there's a reason why she just stands so tall within the discourse of Scream. Ash, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I feel like Jill is like, I also like love the scenes where she's just like lying in bed, like giggling with Kirby. And I always like go back and forth being like, does she like Kirby? Like, and I think like, you know what I mean? Like she tries to kill her, but I think she does enjoy, like, I don't think she would spend a lot of time with people that she didn't like, if she didn't have to. So I think she genuinely like enjoys like spending time with some of these people, but just doesn't actually like give a crap about them in the long run. If it wants, like, what she wants is more important to her. And I love when she's like, Sydney, Sydney, Sydney. And it's just like so Marsh coded. And like my only like criticism of Jill really is like her choice of like blue flannel. And I just like prefer like a bigger print flannel. And I'm like, girl, that's a little small. But but I think she just has this like this gumption in her where she's just like, I'm going to do exactly what I want and I don't care. And like, there's something admirable about that. And I feel like she, like, yeah, like I don't understand how she can be so like, she's just so manipulative. And like, I just admire her in like this really weird, like messed up way of like, not what she becomes, but I admire like her planning in it. And like, yes. I feel like her execution is so much more clever than other people, and how she clearly was just like, she like saw somebody and was like, okay, this Charlie guy, I'm going to be able to manipulate the crap out of this dude and get him to do exactly what I want, get him to do some of my dirty work, blame him because he looks exactly like every single person that's been committing crimes before this. And I remember I was I've always loved Scream 4, but I was watching a creator watch all the Scream movies for the first time. And his reaction when Jill was revealed was so much fun. And then I literally play this like in my mind when he says this. He goes, she shot him in the dick. She shot him in the dick. But he's got like the cutest like accent. And it was just, it like makes me so happy. And just like watching people, like hearing people's reactions to that for the first time. Cause like, I'm sorry, but like I feel like a lot of girls have like had like that terrible like guy in their life, and they're just like, I just want to punch you in the dick. That sounds terrible, but she like is just like, she's doing all those like terrible things that so many girls are just like, oh, like you guys are so annoying, and like, or she just like says what she wants to say, and like she rolls her eyes when she wants to roll her eyes, and there's something that, like, don't get me wrong, I don't like her, but there's something that I'm like, I appreciate your attitude here, girl.
Well, and like all of that cosign. And I just want to end on like this idea of like, she is the remake Sydney, and that's why, like, it's set up to think that, oh, Jill was the main character. She's this generation Sydney. And that's why, the commentary about remakes versus the original is so brilliant, is because the remake is actually the villain, and the originals prevail. They're the ones standing at the end. So we are a Jill Roberts friendly podcast. So, Ash. So Ashley and I have been doing this thing since episode 199. Essentially doing what I'm calling the Taylor Swift Song of the Week, where I'm trying to connect like the topic of the podcast to a Taylor Swift song. And this is Scream with Ryan C. Showers, so I mean, like literally like 95% of this podcast is Scream related. But I'm doing this because, first of all, I love Taylor Swift, and it's something fun, and I think about like these things and connections. Like Scream is always on my brain, and I love Taylor Swift, and so I'm making connections all the time. And I think you can get a lot out of both the topic of Scream and Taylor Swift by putting them together and like kind of blending them. And it's really fun for me and Ashley to do, like to match a Taylor Swift song to a Scream character or a Scream topic or a Scream concept. And for Jill, we didn't really have to look very far for this one. Like at first we were thinking a Reputation song, but we picked, Ash, what did we pick?
So we picked The Last Great American Dynasty. This song was on Folklore. It was also, this song was released in 2020. It was the big surprise album that Taylor had been working on during lockdown. It's track 3. Taylor wrote it with Aaron Dessner, produced by Aaron Dessner. And this song is like based on a true story, based on a real person, based on something that there's like a twist at the end that is correlated to Taylor's real life. And it is, but if you turn it on its head, like if you flip it around in this weird way, you can so make it about Jill and
how she sees herself,
and like how she like, and just like The Last Great American Dynasty, like she's thinking, like to me, like just that name is, she's like, I come from this family and there's all of these people that are experiencing these terrible traumas, but it's about me now, guys. And I am the last great person in this family. Like that's what I imagine her saying and doing. When I suggested it to you and you were like, oh my God, duh. And I was like, yeah, okay. Thank you. I'm glad that you see my vision and that we're on the same page here.
Well, so I'm going to spoil it for people. So basically, this song is about the philanthropist, socialite from the 20th century, Rebecca Harkness, and she owned a big house, a big mansion in Rhode Island, and Taylor Swift bought said mansion in Rhode Island, and she was kind of she was a very fun person, a chaotic person, a unique person, mercurial person. And she did a lot of wild, crazy stuff, especially for the time. And people gossiped about her and, and she had many husbands. So it's, Taylor writes and constructs the song about her life from the beginning until the end, until she dies, and kind of describes how describes Rebecca's gregarious and jovial and just chaotic personality, and also the idea of like, she spends quite a bit of time at the beginning describing the idea of new money and like how improper and impolite Rebecca is, and she uses the word gauche, which is one of my favorite words in the English language, and it's just and the end of the song is like, the reveal is that Taylor reveals to the audience, yes, well, now I am her. I bought her house, and I, blah, blah, blah. So, but basically Rebecca had a husband who had, a fortune, and he died during their second marriage, and she was left with a huge amount of money. And there's the idea of the song is that she kind of ruined the American dynasty that he had, right? That that this is the end of it, of a dynasty. And for Jill, I think I see it in so many different ways, because in the same way that Taylor sees herself in Rebecca, I feel like Jill kind of conquers that as it pertains to Sydney. Like Jill would see herself as Taylor to Rebecca's Sydney, but also this idea of Jill kind of ruining everything, and ruining the picture perfect Sydney Prescott by killing her, right? But also by stealing her story away and making herself the center of the story, and kind of like ending the Prescott dynasty, if that makes sense, that came before. So I think that this is the perfect song for Jill. I don't know, Ash, any comments back?
Yeah, I love this song so much. It's personally one of my favorite songs off of Folklore. And I really like it because so many of my friends, when I've put it on, they're like, "Ooh, this is really fun." And then I'm like, "Okay, well, like just like listen to the lyrics. It's like a really fun story." And it's really talking about how like if women deserve what they have in life, and like all of the criticisms really aren't like should be criticisms. It's like, "Oh, she was too loud. She did this." Like, they have this entire community kind of judging this person and her relationships and her choices and the crazy things she did. But if a guy did all those same things, I feel like people would be like, "Wow, that guy's wild and crazy and so much fun." But she is considered to be just insane. And there's all of these like rumors that she like stole people's dogs and did these like crazy things. But one of my favorite lines of all time is, "She had a marvelous time ruining everything." And I can't tell you how badly there's times when I'm like, when like, you're just like, "Oh, I just like," you just want to ruin something. And like, just like, you never do because you're like, "Oh, I don't want to." But like Taylor Swift has been criticized for ruining football because
Literally,
she's dating someone in the NFL. Like she's like, as if like her attending a game is in any way ruining anything. Like it's just crazy. Or she's ruining country music. She's ruining pop music. She's ruining this. And it's like, okay, but like, you're saying she has so much power to ruin all these things, but you're saying she doesn't deserve the power to ruin those things. And there's something that I feel like so many people can connect with to that, and the judgment. But I feel like Jill had a marvelous time ruining literally everything, like her friendships, her family members, Sydney's legacy. You could even say like, did she have like, you could use that line like for Scream 4 in general, because people were so critical of it. Like they had a marvelous time ruining the Scream franchise because Scream 4 sucks so much to so many people's opinions when it first came out. And I just feel like it's such a good, like, if you really like listen to the song and like the judgment that people have of it, it's almost like if you turn it around, like Jill has like this perspective of herself, like she's greater than like, it's almost like she's judging everybody else for their choices, and she's better, but she still wants all like the money and the fame. And these people came into it, like the other people came into it because they either deserved it, they were married to somebody, whatever it is, they earned it in some way. And she just wants it for herself by just like stealing it. Right. Whereas other people just came into it, and she wants it so bad that she had a marvelous time ruining literally her life.
But you're right, though. She literally did ruin, she killed her mom, her best friends, the people she went to school with, her other family member in Sydney, her town, the Stab franchise of it in and of itself, like, the idea of like, just thinking about like, the way that they were videotaping, all of the kills as they were going along, like ruining the sanctity of someone's death, the privacy of someone's death. It's, so, but also the thing about it is ruining herself, her body, like what she does to herself in the finale. The thing is, though, and the reason why it works is because she has a marvelous time. You can tell Jill is kind of having the time of her life. Like she literally says, "I was born for this," and you can feel it in everything that transpires in the last 20 minutes. she was born for this. Like she had a marvelous, fun AF time doing this.
She had a marvelous time ruining a coffee table.
Exactly.
Not saying sorry, guys.
Also, I just want to give a shout out to there is actually the phrase key lime in here. So shout out to my straight bros, TJ and Josh right there. So, okay. Anything else you want to say about The Last Great American Dynasty and Jill Roberts?
I don't think so, but if you aren't a big Swiftie and you haven't tuned into some of these songs, I feel like you could give this one a listen. It's definitely more adult. I think it's really funny. And yeah, it's just kind of like one of those playful, fun songs that, and also, sorry, the imagery during the Eras tour it's one of my favorite songs to watch. It's so incredibly beautiful. And if you get a chance to watch that, the dancers in that performance are just like chef's kiss. But I love Jill. I love The Last Great American Dynasty. And I love you. And that's it.
I love you too. I have a couple of things I need to get to before we sign off here. So literally in 2 days, guys, 2 days, count them, 2 days. The Craft is coming to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. The very first audio commentary is going to be released from the podcast. I watched The Craft. Ashley was there. I recorded an audio commentary, a filmmaker style type of commentary about The Craft, about the characters, about the story, about the themes, about my expression watching it. So that will be available to Patreon subscribers on Thursday. So we're less than 2 days away from it. It's available to subscribers at any tier, and the video of me watching will be available tiers 2 and above. So please go subscribe to the Patreon, and anything that goes into the Patreon goes into the podcast. I need to thank my wonderful editor Albert Padilla, my graphic design artist and producer TJ Jones, my creative producer Ashley Summers, and my script writer, Joey Valisi, who wasn't able to make this Zoom, but he loves Scream 4 and he loves Jill. So I just want to give him a shout out. His scripts are from episodes 112 and 155. Go check them out. We're currently working on the last script, if you know, you know. And in addition to the audio commentary that are going to be the new Patreon bonus content, come join the Patreon, because we have group chats on the social media platforms discussing the lead up to Scream 7, which is always fun. And we also have a monthly Zoom like the one that you're about to hear. So the one that you're about to hear, you know, if you subscribe to the Patreon, you can come and do this every month with us. We have a different Scream topic going forward. So it's very cool. I need to thank some new Patrons. I need to thank Dustin Putman. So, hey, thanks, Dustin. I need to thank Slick and Pablo Esteves. Thank you guys for joining the Patreon. In addition, I need to thank my Daddy Ghostfaces and Mama Ghostface, Carrie Tenney, Brett Janovich, Corey Wilson, and Stevie Shears. I need to thank Stab Investors, Allie, Tamika Jones, Chris Beatty, David D., Garrison Nichols, Gustavo Mora, Jess Mariano, Joey Nobrini, aka The Vault, Josh Calamari, Josh Carr, Scream Queens Podcast, both Josh and Justine, Kevin Abner, Mark Vieira, PWO5, and Sam Levy. Okay, everybody, please enjoy this marvelous episode about Jill Roberts. So I am here with fans and friends because, unlike Jill Roberts, I know how to keep it in check, and I can multitask and do both. So everybody, we are now in the group Zoom celebrating our tribute to Jill Roberts of Woodsboro, the girl who changed all of our lives when she was in Scream 4, when she was unmasked as the remake version of Sydney as Ghostface. And I'm going to start out with my girl, my producer, Ashley. Hey, Ash.
Oh, hello.
So Ash, I know people will have just heard us talking about Jill in the introduction, but is there anything you want to weigh in here before we kick it over to the group?
I'm a big Scream 4 person. It's my second favorite Scream movie after the first one. And a lot of that has to do with Jill. I think she is so fun and so deranged. Every single time I see a coffee table, I'm like, do I do it? And anybody, like, I love how much, like, you're like, this girl watched so many true crime documentaries and so many things just to prepare for, like, doing this. Like, she thought of all of these steps, but then, like, completely missed, like, the obvious ones. And ends up kind of, like, screwing herself in the end. And there's something, like, so beautiful about that. And I don't know if I'd want to be friends with her, but I definitely would have, like, wanted to, like, be in, like, the bathroom stall while her and Kirby were, like, talking gossip of everybody else.
Yeah.
And I love a scary lady. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing more that I love more than like a villain that is a woman that you're like, oh yeah, I get why this person has completely lost it, has become who they are.
Mhm.
And she's just, I mean, the only thing that I don't like about her is like the amount of dairy she consumes. And other than that, I love her.
That the snack choice is a choice. We will say that. Chocolate
Yes,
milk and string cheese. I mean,
it's too much.
it doesn't make sense, but at the same time, she doesn't make sense. I mean, she's an evil genius. So, I mean, maybe that's what it takes to do what
I
she
literally remember seeing that and being like, is she the killer? Because like, no person in their right mind in the middle of like being like tracked by like a ghost face is going to be like, let me drink an entire jug of milk and string cheese.
Yeah, some fucked up shit right there.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? She had a marvelous time ruining everything, didn't she, Ash?
She sure did. She is part of a dynasty that, you know, we just love.
Okay, let's kick it off. Okay, Scream 4. All right, I'm gonna start off with Mama Ghostface, Carrie, because I know Scream 4 is her favorite sequel. So Carrie, please hit me with the Jill Roberts of it all. How do you tribute Jill Roberts?
I just think, you know, she's just one of a kind. I mean, she really, really stands out. I mean, everybody has their own, you know, each ghost face has their own special thing, but she's just, you know, she was ahead of her time. The character that is, she really was, you know. I don't need friends, I need fans. You know, she's like, you know, you don't have to achieve anything. You just got to have fucked up shit happen to you, you know. She was really well ahead of her time, and she's just cold. She's batshit crazy. She doesn't make apologies for how she is.
Well, so Care, would you say that Jill is your favorite Ghostface? And Scream 4 is your favorite sequel. Would you say Jill is your favorite Ghostface, or who would be?
My favorite ghost face, probably of all time is, probably Stu, but Jill is like number 2.
You know, as I spoke this, because Carrie, everybody, listener out there, Carrie is the convention queen, and as we know, Matthew Lillard is the convention king. So I knew as soon as I asked the question, I was like, she's gonna say Matthew Lillard, but she's a great killer.
She is not the girl you cheat on.
She's not the girl you cheat on, and honestly, that's Trevor's death. I just have to say it. One of my favorite deaths in Scream 4, probably my favorite death in Scream 4. I just find it so exhilarating. I find it so shocking, and I think that's the key to Jill is that she is violent in a weird way that's truly shocking. Like, she's shocking as the remake Sydney, right, being the Ghostface, but also she's shocking in what she does and how she carries out her plan, and just the exact type of violence that she puts out to other people, but also herself. I think that's what's the most shocking about Jill is what she will do to herself to achieve her goals. So
she stands out.
Absolutely. And I think that she, in my opinion, like, I'm a Roman boy. I'm such a Roman Bridger boy. Yeah. But Jill is my number 2. She's been my number 2 since I saw Scream 4 for the past 15 years. Yeah. I could say she's objectively probably the best Ghostface over Roman. Roman has my heart, but Jill has my head. So
best female Ghostface.
Yes, I 1000%. Yeah. The people who prefer Amber to Jill, I don't get you. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's so much characterization over here, and then there's, like, you know, Mikey Madison over here. So
Amber is eliminated automatically for me because she killed Dewey. So
yeah, poor guy. We miss him. So okay. Well, Kara, where can they find you online?
You can find me on X on Nerdgirl, NERDGRLMD, or on Instagram at Carrie_Tenny.
Awesome. All right, let's go over now to one of my favorite Scream queens, Mr. Josh. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Ryan. Hello, everybody.
I have a memory of you. You said in your past life, before you had the awakening of Scream 3, that you used to tell people, oh, just watch 1 and 2. You can skip 3 and go on to 4. So, you know, is the Jill Roberts of it all part of your a part of that for you?
Possibly. my ranking of the originals is 1, 2, 4, 3. But I do love 3. I've come around to 3, as you know. I just went through kind of a snobby period where I was like, no, it's. Well, I think for me, my favorite part of the Scream movies are like when it gets really scary. And to me, Scream 3 is maybe the least scary, but I've come to really enjoy everything that makes Scream 3 Scream 3. You know, the kind of kitsch and camp aspect of it, the performances that are very tongue in cheek, you know, stuff like that. So yes, I've definitely come around to 3, but I'm not
Well,
sure. Yeah, Jill Roberts has a big part of why I like 4 a lot. Yeah, for sure.
well, so hit me with it. What do you like about Jill?
Well, I think she's the most evil Ghostface in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, she killed her mom and, you know, is going after her traumatized cousin and shoots a guy in the dick. And she's she's crazy. And I really love her sense of like self-preservation, how she's going to throw herself on the kitchen table, knife herself in the chest, you know, all to make it look more realistic. And I think she's the most duplicitous. Like she's has that really tender scene in the kitchen with Nev, with Sydney, but then yeah, is ultimately the whole time orchestrating this elaborate scheme to kill her.
Yeah.
I think-
That scene in the kitchen, I think, is one of the best scenes in Scream 4. I think it's one of the most necessary scenes in Scream 4. I like, in terms of character development, like it's the type of scene like that is Jill's motive and like the reveal of Jill would not be what it is without that scene. And also, it's the scene that's most revealing about Sydney in that movie in terms of how she's moved on from trauma and like what Scream 4 is trying to say about trauma, I think. And then at the same time, you have that like, very like smart psychological scene with Sydney, but also then like you have Jill, the seeds are being planted for the deep betrayal. And I think that is what's so cool about that scene.
It's such a well acted scene. I think Nev's performance in that is on par with what she's doing in Scream 3. Like it's such a good, like very tender. Like you can tell she's really kind of like trying to have this heart to heart reach out moment with Jill. And yeah, I also think Jill's just kind of the scariest too. Like, and her reveal is the most shocking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because she's set up to maybe take the torch from Sydney as like the next final girl. And instead that gets like the rugs pulled out from under you and you're like, oh, you were behind this with Charlie the whole time. And that's really shocking.
And the thing is that she's scary, but also I just think that overall, like when you look at like the picture of a ghost face, Jill has it all. She has the blood relationship with Sydney. She has the screen time. Like she is a really significant character in the movie, like a big player. She has a really well orchestrated plan. She almost gets away with it. She goes pretty deep into trying to kill Sydney, which can't be said for all of the ghost faces. And most importantly, she has a motive that is so well defined and so unique. And she also gets to take off the mask and do the formal ghost face reveal. Like that is, in my opinion, like there's so much, so much there. So,
and I don't think there's another ghost face that gets that time allotted to them. Like, we pull away from our main characters and we go with Jill for like what, a good 5-10 minutes of her like setting up the rest of her plan. And I find that really fascinating. None of the other Ghostface get that extra time.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy the way that Scream 4, sets up the ending. Because even like someone like one thing that has shocked me about Scream 4 is Quentin Tarantino. He saw Scream 4, and back in 2011, he said he thinks that they should have ended the movie as Jill was being loaded into the ambulance and just gone with the idea that she killed Sydney, and that should have been the ending, which would have been wild. And I think it's so funny that Quentin Tarantino, like of all, he's a 2-time Oscar winner. So one of the most recognizable brands, in Hollywood, and he has this strong opinion about Jill Roberts. I just think that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, Josh, when you saw Scream 4, did you think that Sydney was dead after she got stabbed in the abdomen?
Yeah, I kind of did. And I went into Scream 4 saying like, it's been 10 years. Do not bring her back just to kill her.
Yeah.
And I was like, even with just the first 3, I'm like, she's the ultimate final girl. You cannot bring her back. So in that moment, I was, a little pissed. He might have really been dead.
No, of course. Well, so, it's so cool. But Josh, anything else you want to say about Jill or Emma Roberts?
No, that's about it. I'll just say, like, in my ranking, she's probably my second favorite. My first is one of the other women, Ghostface. I'm a big Debbie Salt, Mrs. Loomis fan. I
Yeah.
just love her performance, but
Well, listener, if you don't know, the Scream Queens podcast hosted by my friends Josh and Justine, their brand is Scream 2, Sydney. So I think everything goes back to that. So
yeah, 1 and 2, they're the most nostalgic probably for me.
well, cool. So Josh, thank you so much for coming. And where can they find you and Justine and our friends over at Scream Queens podcast?
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Search Scream Queens Horror Road Trip Podcast, and we're also on YouTube and all the socials.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course. It's always so fun.
Okay. Next, I'm going to Mr. Jill Roberts. I hear every time I talk to him, somehow Jill gets brought into the conversation. And that's, of all of the killers, like I get Mrs. Loomis a lot, but like Jill Roberts, I probably have a conversation about Jill in my everyday life at least once a day. Whether it's like through a text, whether it's with my sister, there's something about Jill. But every time I talk to this guy, it's always Jill. So everybody, please welcome Mr. Horror Gamer. Hey, Chris.
Hello, Ryan. How are you doing today?
Good. I guess I should have called you Mr. Jill Roberts because you have a hard on for Jill.
I do. I would change all of my socials right now to that.
Well, so what's the deal with Jill? Why are you so attached to her?
It's funny because like when this topic was coming up, I was making bullet point, but it was just, I can't put into words what this character means and how she elevated Scream into my favorite franchise. Like most people know, Halloween is my all-time favorite movie, but Scream is my favorite franchise. And if I had to pick one moment of where that happened, it was Jill.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be the next Sydney. She was supposed to carry on the franchise. But like, I'm old enough that I was actually in the theater opening night when Scream 4 happened. And when her mask came off, there was just that silence of, and like, it's one of the few moments in like the theater history where I will always remember that. Like, I will probably have dementia in like 80 years, but I will still remember that moment in time.
So you weren't spoiled.
Was not spoiled for me.
I was. Because, and honestly, I wish I could have experienced what you just described. But at the same time, I was having, like, leading up to Scream 4, you have to put yourself in the shoes of 11th grade, 16-year-old Ryan. I'm crazy right now, let alone back then. And I was just so afraid that Sydney would die, Gail was going to die, that they would be replaced. So I enjoyed having this knowledge ahead of time. But at the same time, all of you who weren't spoiled have something that I will never have when it comes to Scream, and that is experiencing Jill Roberts' reveal for the pure thing that it was. So I love that for you guys.
Yeah, I know. It's like Jill is like the one that almost got away, but she's also the one that almost like, I was prepared for Sydney to possibly die in 4, but Gail's attack I was not prepared for.
Oh yeah.
And it was just that. And I'm like, oh my God, she actually might die. And then when it was Jill, I was like, oh my God, this woman almost killed my favorite Scream character. And so it was that weird relationship that I would have. I'm like, I should not be rooting for this character to do what she did to my favorite character, but it was just batshit crazy. And then what she goes on to do to just get her revenge and just carry out her plot. It was just, it was so well ahead of the time of Instagram and Facebook and Tumblr and just all the weird things of trying to figure out what the internet was going to be in the 2010s. And they just absolutely nailed it, which is why Scream 4 is my second favorite in the series.
And that's the thing, right? Is the fact that like there was like a prediction of the internet, right? In the internet culture and the celebrity of TikTok. I mean, so we'll just be frank, is that like kind of something that makes people attracted to Jill and to Scream 4 now is the fact that we've lived through 5 years of TikTok, and that Jill represents a lot of the values and the behaviors of TikTok stars. And that's seeing everything that we observe through TikTok, even if we watch it and find it enjoyable, it's very Jill Roberts coded in kind of everything that she's talking about when she's going through like what she could do with her life. And it hits home for for us who lived through Scream 4. And I think especially like millennials who we were coming of age during Scream 4, like there may have, we may have had MySpace and Facebook and stuff, but we kind of got to live through that era as Scream 4 was coming out, and then got to experience the full-fledged influencer that Jill kind of wanted to become, right? So I think that's really what makes Jill so special, in addition to what you were saying about Sydney. So can I ask, like, did you really think that Jill would be the new Sydney? Like, were you expecting her to be the new main character?
Yeah, no, it's like I thought she was going to be it. It's like Josh said, like we got that moment in Scream 4 where we get to venture off and see her life and see her with her friends and just how history was kind of repeating itself with the original. But like at the same time, it's like, to me, Jill is just so likable until she takes that mask off. It's like you really believe that when her friends were dying, that she was feeling all those emotions, all that pain of it, just for her to be batshit crazy. And it was all she had a mask on before she took the mask off.
Yeah. Do you ever think about Sydney and Jill and like their relationship before all of this? Like, do you think about like how, what Sydney thought of Jill, or how Jill came to understand Sydney through the media and through everything?
I imagine like she probably had a understanding of Sydney, but there was probably an age gap enough where they definitely probably didn't hang out, but they saw each other whenever there was like maybe something family. But I feel like she got to know Sydney through through everything that Sydney went through, and you could really feel where she wanted all of that. She wanted all that fame, all that attention, and I think a lot of it just kind of seeped in. But I also think that maybe there might have been something there that with Roman as well. She might have been jealous of Roman, and the fact that someone else got to do it before her. I feel like she was definitely that jealous, angry type, and she let it all come out in that kitchen, especially when you got to the hospital.
I'm glad that you mentioned Roman. I think the reason why, Roman's my guy, Jill's my girl when it comes to Ghost Faces, and I love the blood relation, the jealousy. I think Roman and Jill are different in their motives. It's subtle, but there is a difference there between the two. I just think that like that proximity to Sydney is so cool. And this is why, so right now, listener, we're recording this. Emma Roberts has not been confirmed as being in Scream 7 in a cameo role. Scott Foley obviously has. He was the first one. So I would love nothing more than for Roman and Jill to be together, in a whatever, cameo in Sydney's life, and getting to see Sydney think about the fact that her family tried to kill her. Thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, no, it's like I'm picturing it. I mean, my one thing that I would love to see in Scream 7 is all the Ghostface take off their masks. I would love to see that one scene where she just gets to relive that moment and just see what it does to her. But at the same time, it's like just to kind of see what, I don't know, like my mind just keeps spinning on, is she going to show up? Is she not? Like, I want her to show up, but like if she doesn't, am I going to be okay with it, or am I going to get pissed off because my favorite Ghostface wasn't here?
I think she will be. I really do. And I just want them to be coupled. My friend Robert on Twitter, Robert Anthony Yedon, he used to make the GIFs for this podcast. He made like a AI of like Sydney looking in a mirror, and like in the mirror is like Roman and Jill. One of my favorite things I've ever seen from AI. It's just so cool. It's just like my brand of like Scream. So, but Chris, before I let you go, let's talk about Emma Roberts herself, because the performance, Hayden Panettiere, in my opinion, is probably the resounding person people point to and say, oh, she is like the MVP of the new cast in Scream 4. Maybe the whole cast. I mean, I have a blind spot. I think Gail is the MVP of Scream 4. But a lot of people point to Kirby. I actually, if you ask me, who do you think gives a better performance, Hayden Panettiere or Emma Roberts? I'd probably pick Emma Roberts. I think that her acting in the kitchen, like the camp that she pursues is really hard to do. Like, she's in on the joke, and that's what makes all of her deranged crap funny and hysterical and scary and effective. And that's it. What she deployed in the kitchen scene and the hospital, that went on to be Emma Roberts' brand throughout the rest of her career in terms of American Horror Story, Scream Queens. Like that is what she did, and I just think I think it's underrated as an acting achievement, especially within the franchise. What are your thoughts?
Yes, no, I agree. I love Kirby's phone call. That's one of my favorites. But like, just Emma's performance of just from the time the movie starts to the time the movie ends, it just slowly starts peeling back these different layers of her. Like her watching Olivia get murdered across the street, and we're thinking, oh my God, that's one of her close friends. But the fact that she's behind it, oh, that's really messed up. Oh, the fact that her mom dies, the fact that like she's trying to be so close to Sydney and try to just be so fake, but at the same time, it's like she's willing to go to any lengths to fight, like to go out through her plan. It's like the fact that the movie carried on into the hospital and she was willing. She's like, I have to go kill Sydney, and that's kind of where the downfall of her was. But the fact that she was so bound and determined, that's a brilliant performance. It's like because of that movie, I will see anything that Emma Roberts is ever in.
Yeah. Well, and like we know what to expect from Emma Roberts. It was a career defining performance, you know, in terms of like setting out what she is good at and what audiences can like latch onto in terms of when we get Emma Roberts, we know what we're getting. One last thing about Jill and what you alluded to, the way she acts in the Olivia set piece, you know, and for the conscientious Scream watcher, you'll notice in the window, she has her phone up against the window like this, kind of videotaping the perspective of Olivia's death from Kirby and Jill, which I think is very cool. But you know, one thing I really like about Jill that Wes Craven did really well, and I wish that the new Scream movies did well, and they don't, is like this idea of like accounting for whenever Jill is being set up. She makes Sydney think she's the victim. You have Charlie, you know, in a specific place at a specific time. Like the killers are defined in terms of like the story arc. Like, okay, if Charlie's at the Sabathon, that means Jill is at the house with, you know, killing the cops. What, you know, so I think that's really, really smart. And like, for instance, in the Olivia scene, how Jill kind of comes into the sequence after Sydney's off the phone and gets attacked. I think that's a really smart way to throw the audience off of Jill's tracks. You know, not only Jill within like us as the audience watching, but Jill within the world of Woodsboro, setting herself up as the victim. That's the kind of smart murder mystery that I think was missing from 5 and 6, and I hope that Kevin brings back for 7. Chris, final thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's like I think her attack is what kind of made the audience like, oh, she can't be the killer, because everyone thought Derek was going to be the killer after he got stabbed in the exact same place in Scream 2, and it's like, oh, that's not going to be the same thing. It's just following what it does, but. No, it's just, I could ramble on and on and on about Jill Roberts. I absolutely love her.
Favorite quote?
Oh, God. I have too many. Probably like the one, like the most used GIF I ever use is probably Surprise Sydney with her taking off the mask. Okay. That's my most used, like on my iPhone, you go to, it's right there.
You know what's an underrated quote of Jill? Whenever she's in the hospital and she shoots Judy and she says, don't fucking tell me what to do. Like, that is like, you know, in terms of like talking about a generation, because Jill is so symbolic of so many things. She's symbolic of the remake. She's symbolic of the new Sydney. She's symbolic of like the younger generation in social media and technology. They nailed it. That is exactly like the Gen Z, like even millennial, like, you know, kind of thing. Like we don't like when older people tell us what to do. You know what I mean? So it's, don't tell me what to do. I love it. So anyways, Horror Gamer, where can they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky or Instagram at Horror Gamer.
I gave away the plot like at least 3 times.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, going over now to JX. Hey, JX, hit me with it. Jill Roberts.
Yeah, I have a 2 bullet point to make. Starting with the idea that I like everything that most people don't like about Scream 4.
Okay.
Marnie and Jenny, for example. I thought that the opening sequence was powerful in a sense of bringing us back to the whole franchise through Stab. I don't think we expected that. I definitely didn't expect Stab to be part of anything after part 3, for one. Mm-hmm. And also, I like the lighting. Like, all these years, I've seen people talk about the lighting and being annoyed by the way that the movie was lit. I thought it was great because a lot of the remakes at the time looked just like Scream 4 at the time. That was a meta commentary that I enjoyed. I like Charlie. I hadn't heard that on your podcast yet.
Well, let's make it official, okay? In the permanent record, okay? Let's open up, Ashley, open up the permanent record. Ryan Showers, we're making a statement here, Ryan and JX. Charlie is not as bad as what people say, I think.
Yes.
Compared to the Scream 6 killers, compared to even Amber and Richie, I have grown to appreciate the depth of Charlie and the seriousness of Charlie and the fact that Charlie isn't a joke and that he compliments Jill and lets Jill take over the movie at the end. He doesn't. He's there. He serves his purpose, and then he's done. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that there is some depth there. Even if like you could argue that Rory Culkin isn't like that his performance didn't really work, and that Charlie is kind of a creep. There is depth there, you know, and you can't say that about the Scream 6 killers. No offense.
What's with people like thinking like a Scream movie cannot contain creepy people? I mean, look at all the horror films from the 70s and 80s. Look at how we got here. And look at what brought Kevin to write such a character. I think Charlie is the other side of Randy. He's the dark side of Randy.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that says something to him as an antagonist towards Sydney. He is the worst type of Randy we could ever possibly see. We thought Randy was on the edge. Charlie takes it to the edge and off the edge, actually, if you ask me, especially when he stabs Curry. I did not see coming.
Right. And again, talk about like using an homage for a cool new dramatic purpose, right? As opposed to just being like, oh, here's an Easter egg, you know? Here's a radio silence. Here's an Easter egg that will serve no purpose except in window dressing. Whereas Wes Craven uses the ultimate Easter egg of the Casey Becker opening to have a really unique killer reveal. So there you go.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, I think the deleted scenes, we would have a completely different movie. And we talked about that before. Missed opportunity, but maybe one day we'll see it again. And that's what I like about the idea of Kevin coming back. Maybe he knows that. Maybe he'll be interested in doing something with those scenes in a way that we haven't imagined before. And my last point about Scream 4 is I kind of think that Scream 5 and 6 literally are stab films. And Scream 4 paved the way for that in and of itself, period.
Well, I need to go back to your deleted scenes because, again, Emma Roberts in the deleted scenes, she gets so much opportunity to help to define who Jill is outside of just Sydney's cousin. Like I actually did, you know, everybody knows me. I do the screen times. I've done the screen times for Scream 4 as though all of the deleted scenes were added back in. And Emma Roberts has like 15 seconds more than Nev Campbell. So technically, if all of the deleted scenes would have been used, Jill would have been the most screen time of Scream 4, which I think is very cool. And it's also just like, you know, Scream 4 is Jill's remake in a way. So I think it's actually poetic. But the thing is too, like, I think the deleted scenes, especially the scenes with like Emma and Nico, Jill and Trevor, they really help define the movie as the remake in terms of like, and I think that would have helped Jill be even a better Ghostface because it would help pinpoint her as this is the remake Sydney. She is, you know, this is clear that Jill is supposed to be this generation's version of Sydney. And that helps and aids the commentary of Scream 4 and why Jill is so shocking as a killer. So I agree with you 100% about the deleted scenes. I would have been like, put them all back in. I don't care if we have a 2-hour and 20-minute movie, you know.
Speaking of Jill, bullet point number 2, yeah, she's a false protagonist, and I think that it was very important for her to be that, to be of a different generation, so to speak. Obviously, of course, but I think that her pursuit of fame definitely adds to her resentment towards Sydney at the same time. It's like no matter where we were going, she was still resentful of Sydney. And someone else said the same with Roman. I think she's resentful of Roman too. But Roman got attention as well, being Maureen's illegitimate child.
Yeah.
So the family's going back and forth between Maureen's children. And I also, speaking of, I wonder what was going on with her mother, Jill's mother. Like that little quip that she said about no one knows what kind of scars I have, something like that. I won't forget that scene with her.
Even more so, I want to have a whole episode about Kate Roberts, even though she has a minute and 30 seconds of screen time. Tell Jill I'm sorry. come on, like, that leads me to think, was Kate involved? I mean, it's not out of the question. I mean, you could watch Scream 4 and kind of squint and see how Kate could have been part of Jill's plan, and Jill killed her, just to, whatever, become the new Sydney and have her mother killed. I think it's a really cool thing to think about. I think it's cool to think about, even if you just take Kate as a victim, I think it's cool to think about what Jill's life was like with Kate as a mom, in Woodsboro, and how that may have led her to be the Jill that we know today, if that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe she's defending her mom at the same time because of what Moraine did. Absolutely. And I think also, too, that Scream 4 is the blueprint for every sequel from now on.
Yeah. In terms of, what do you mean?
I would say the idea of fame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not too, sort of like Zeg Cherry, I'm not really interested in the idea of Stab coming back into the series, but I am interested in it being a theme as to why we are where we are now.
Yeah.
Without the focus.
Right. Around, it's like circa Scream 5, I was ready to be done with Stab, but after Scream 6, I'm like, I can take Stab back. I don't know. Unpopular opinion, but whatever. So,
Same.
But very cool points. Very cool points. I'm glad you brought up the deleted scenes, because that was definitely going to be something I threw out if someone didn't. So thank you.
Yes, and that I'm a Scream 3 #1 person also. And really wish that we could do Scream 3 again the way it was intended, in that same way.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, JX, any final thoughts, and where can they find you?
And I've rebranded my link profile. I'm on IG, YouTube, and Patreon, because guess what? I'm also starting my own podcast, strangely called Out of Dark Mess. Now, not to be confused with Sydney's book, but her and I have some similarities when it comes to rewriting a role for ourselves, so to speak. Thank you as well, Ryan, on that podcast, because I just really appreciate your analysis on
Thank you.
such a genre-driven film. I remember when it all came out, when it all started, where these films were simply the best thing that's ever happened to film franchises. But you bring a spin of analysis on it that elevates it to a place where this movie franchise deserves to be up there with Star Wars.
Aw, well, thank you. Aw.
And yes, and I want you to know that. And so, anyway, I can go on and on with that, but I just appreciate that you brought this podcast into fruition.
Aw, well, thank you so much. And like the fact that you can compare it to Star Wars is very nice. My editor, Albert, has a Star Wars podcast, and I'm sure he's in Texas right now smiling as he edits this on Monday before this goes out on Tuesday. So,
which was a great episode about.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm proud of that. So,
yes.
All right. Well, JX, thank you so much. And I appreciated all your thoughts. So,
it's JX, aka Joshua Wills, by the way. That's my handle.
Ash, anything you want to add here about Jill right now as we transition to the second half of the series?
I would just say, like, I love JX, but I do hate Charlie.
I needed to give you that moment, because like literally, Ashley, she gave me a topic suggestion that was why Charlie is the worst.
And like, I don't mean like his performance. I don't mean like as a Ghostface, like how he actually does his job, or his job of being a Ghostface. I mean, as like, if that dude was sitting beside me in any single class, I would have been like, teacher, please move me. This guy is so creepy. And I don't mean that like that means his performance is good, but Charlie makes me think of every single boy that I've ever encountered that, like, when if he asked me to like go to the dance or something, when I said no, he called me a bitch. And I'm just like, I hate Charlie. He just like gives me he just makes my skin crawl, but obviously good performance. I love and hate him, if that makes sense. Like, he's my least favorite because he's scared. Like, he scares me before he's a ghost face.
Well, can I ask, Ash? So, how do you feel about Ethan?
No.
Oh no.
Ethan to me is just like a loser who, like, I feel like he's just like, Daddy, what do I do?
That's true.
Like, I just feel like I feel like he probably would be like annoyed, but I don't think he ever would have even had the audacity to like talk to a girl. So he would just be talking about it online and then complaining about how his econ course is too difficult. I feel like they'd get along, but they would be like a terrible duo. Like, they would be the crimes that would come out of that would be Done poorly, but good.
Exactly. So I just want to just point out, like, as we transition now into like the second half of the Zoom, how cool it is that we're sitting here talking about Scream 4, a movie. Let's be real, because like I'm talking as a Scream 3 person as well. Scream 3 and 4 are kind of hated on unfairly, unnecessarily by a lot of people. They are at the bottom of a lot of rankings, and which I think is ridiculous, but whatever. But Scream 4 is a very deep movie in terms of like the thinking about the world that it builds. And I think that's what Wes Craven was really what he specialized in. Like, I don't think that the 5 and 6 have the same kind of like deep well that you could go down a rabbit hole thinking about, how did these characters grow up and what's the backstory here? I think that there's a lot of that in Scream 4, even, of course, the original trilogy. But, I just want to point out Scream 4 is a very deep movie, even if it's not someone's cup of tea. And as we transition to not one's cup of tea, I'm going over to my friend Garrison, who I know ranks it last. So Garrison, hello. How's it go, you hater? I'm just teasing. Legal purposes, teasing.
No, it's good. And yes, I do rank 4 last on my list. Like I told you before, I do think that Scream 4 has a good plot, and I think it's got a very good theme. I just think it's very executed very poorly, because I don't like anybody in this movie, including the trio. I think it's the poorest representation of our trio. But I will say, because I know we were talking about Jill. So Jill, I found is very bland through the first part of the movie. And especially when you're comparing it to like Sydney, from the first one, you're just like, this does not add up. Like, of course, I know that's a theme. Probably the remake is never as good as the original, and if she's our remake, Sydney, of course, she's bland and she's not. And I found to be kind of annoying teenager as well. But then when she reveals herself, I think that's when she gets very interesting, which I know a lot of people have pointed out. And I really enjoyed that very sharp, sinister delivery that she gives.
So Garrison, can I just jump and ask you, because I have an answer to this, but I want to see what your answer is. So what do you think is the difference between Sydney and Jill? If Jill is bland, do you think Sydney is bland in Scream 1? Because that's what they're going for with Jill in the first 2 acts.
No, I think there's a lot of highs and lows with Sydney's. Like and that could be the bad movie. You get a more Sydney's already been through something. I don't know what Jill. Obviously, Jill
Bingo. Yeah.
So, but I think it's just different. It's like,
what I would say to that is that the reason why Sydney, I guess a very basic vanilla, Valley Girl would say that Sydney would be basic in Scream 1, but she's not, because she has dealt with all the trauma of her mother, and like that, how Sydney's so haunted in Scream 1. So I think when Jill isn't haunted, there's something that there's no trauma that Jill has experienced that is equivalent to what Sydney went through. So Jill is bland because she doesn't have that trauma that Sydney went through, I think. So isn't that the point, that she doesn't? So she's imposing this trauma onto herself with this remake of hers. But anyways, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. Go on.
right? That's a great point. Like you get like Sydney has there's a realness to Sydney's. Like, of course, Jill's playing Sydney, and I really love how. I mean, she's not honest, and I love how honest she is at the end. I like the quotes that you're asking people to say. My favorite quote for her, and I actually think about this. That's the sad thing about. I hate on Scream 4 so much, but I do think about quotes from it quite often. Like, what am I supposed to do? Go to college, grad school, work? Like, yeah. I don't want to have to work either. But I get her mentality is very millennial, I guess, but just a toxic version.
She's so toxic, but I mean, like, at the same time, you can't help but respect the hustle that she goes through. You know, it's funny, Jill puts so much energy into this, this thing, and like, if she would have just put half the energy into grad school, she would be having an okay life. But Garrison, so what are some of your other favorite quotes from Jill?
Honestly, it sums up the whole movie. The end where she's like, this is just silly.
But it's true, because like Scream 4 has I think that Scream 4 is probably actually the most comedic film in the franchise. And I'm not saying that as a dig. I think it blends the horror and comedy really well. That matches the Shaun of the Dead. They literally are watching Shaun of the Dead. So I think that like it's matching the tone of the decade and what it's responding to. And that's part of the brilliance of Scream 4 and why it's a really cool standalone reunion time capsule kind of a movie. Social commentary movie. So, but I think that like there is something silly about it. There is something silly about Jill's entire plot, the fact that she mutilates herself, but at the same time that there's silliness, there's real violence there that makes it uncomfortable, and that's the greatness of Scream 4 and Jill's finale, in my opinion.
I agree. I think it's the most sinister plot or motive. I find like it's not that far off. Like people have already made this point from reality, and it's scary that she is going to work that hard to set up something for herself that she's seen organically happen with Sydney. Like it's Sydney's worst nightmare in human form, trying to make it happen for her. Like it is a very scary subject done in a very I don't want to say, I shouldn't say silly, even though the movie it is done in a very kind of annoying way. Again, is how I find the movie. But I do think the movie is the plot is great. It just kind of annoying. But Jill is great, but kind of annoying.
Wow. So now I know. Now I feel like what it's like to be Garrison, who's a fan of Scream 6, who comes on the Zoom, and the 90% of us are like, "Ew, Scream 6," and now everyone here, Garrison's like giving us a taste of her own medicine. So, okay, Garrison, where can they find you and your new YouTube show?
You can find me on Instagram at gnichols88. You can find me on YouTube at Abandoner 6. I do have my own YouTube show with Sam Levy called Informed Decisions. So if you want to come check us out, you can on there.
Well, let's go over to the second member of the Informed Decisions YouTube, Sam. Hey, Sam. Sam Levy.
Ryan, hi. How are you all? How is everybody?
Good. We're having a great time. So welcome and congratulations on your videos with Garrison. I am a fan. And
thank you so much.
You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
So, Sam, one time you said you described Jill as an evil genius, and that has always stuck with me, and I don't know why. But please tell me what your thoughts are on Jill.
She is my favorite Ghostface. She is number one for me. She's just the complete package. I think, as you put it earlier, most screen time, wildly unique motive. I do also think that she is the most evil of all the ghost faces. I think to a certain extent, almost all the other ghost faces are angry and have extreme emotional and psychological disturbances. I think she's just a real, genuine sociopath. I think she's truly evil. And I think that her real evil makes it the darkest entry in the franchise, even though I also have serious issues with its execution. I agree with some of the things that Garrison said, that Jill comes off bland until her reveal. And I also agree that it has a great plot, but faulty execution. I agree with all those things. But I love Jill's reveal of a ghost face so much that it actually made me overrate Scream 4 in my ranking when it first came out, because it was everything that I wanted. It was like it took all the best parts from the previous Ghostfaces, and I think it just wrapped it into one character. Everything, the blood, again, it's like the most vivid metaphor for the calls are coming from inside the house, because it's literally like directly her own family. No half relation. It's pure relation. It's someone who was 2 years old when I would imagine that, Maureen Prescott was murdered, if that. And the fact that she grew up and that Sydney grew up, even though they weren't close, the fact that there's this younger kid, her baby cousin, growing up, not realizing that eventually that one day, what went on in that household, by the way? Like how bad could Kate, or like absent, like, neglectful could Kate have been to make Jill fester in her own rage like that? But the meta commentary about Jill wanting to be an influencer, and that being her motive, the resentment and anger and feeling ignored because her cousin took up all the oxygen in the family fame space. Everything about her, she's just so full. I do think that the transition from her to before reveal to after reveal is the most dramatic. I do think that it seems to me that she is, unlike other killers in the franchise, her personality changes the most. But again, I think that's all by design, because I think that she is most consciously putting on more performance than anybody prior to that. And again, most screen time, I did think that she was going to be I did think she was going to be the new Sydney. I thought she was going to be the new hero. I was prepared to maybe have Sydney succumb to Ghostface in 4. And I was actually okay with that because, Carrie, I actually do think that I would have been okay with that because by Scream 4, she was no longer afraid. She had processed through the trauma. She was no longer afraid. She wasn't going to let these lunatics run her life anymore. So even if the Ghostface in 4 had physically defeated her, I felt like it was too late because
she already won.
She had already won in her own life. So I was prepared for Jill to take up that mantle, even though as you're watching the film, the movie's kind of hinting that it's really Kirby. But when she pulled off her mask and then her entire unhinged yet simultaneously in control rant, diatribe, self-mutilation for the next 10 minutes was, I thought, the darkest and scariest direction that the franchise has gone to date. And I'm just sorry that they could not follow through with it properly. But I absolutely love Jill.
Listen, Sam, I get it. I get what you're saying. If Scream really wanted to have the courage of its convictions, that they would have gone through and let Sydney die and let Jill carry on in this, space where she's the killer, but she's pretending to be the victim. I get it. But at the same time, I also get what Kevin Williamson was going for with the commentary and having Sydney and Gail and Dewey be the victors at the end and have, at that time, because we thought Kirby died, having all the new casts, all the younger generation wiped out and it's just them. There is something so important about the commentary there. So I think that either way.
Absolutely.
I also just want to comment, I love what you said about Sydney. If she would have died in Scream 4, I actually think that's a really cool argument that you made, which is that she fulfilled her character arc and she was at peace. And even the scene with Jill where she's talking about how she processes herself now. Very good representation of a mental space for her if she would have happened to have died. So I think that's a very cool way of looking at it. I want to give a shout out to Carrie because she brought up who we don't know who Jill's father is. And I actually, back in 2011, I stupidly wrote a Scream 5 myself, and I made Jill's father the killer because I was that basic back then. And I guess the writers of Scream 6 were also that basic when they wrote the follow-up to Scream 5 and did the same thing. But anyways.
Yeah.
So anyways, all right. Sam, anything else about Jill?
Oh, favorite quote?
Favorite quote.
Your favorite quote? All right.
Sure.
Do you know what it was like growing up in this family related to you? I mean, all I ever heard was Sydney this and Sydney that and Sydney. You were always just so fucking special. Now I'm special one.
Yeah, or you'll slip. They always do. So, great job, Sam. That was a great. I felt Emma Roberts. I felt the spirit coming off of the Zoom screen. So, good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, I love Jill.
All right, Sam. Where can they find you online?
You can find me online at Sam B. Levy on Facebook and Instagram, and also at my marvelous new YouTube show that I'm co-hosting with Garrison at his channel, Abandon 06, called Informed Decisions. We have gotten 4 episodes so far. We're recording our next one this week, and we're just trying to do it on a weekly basis as often as possible, and mix of pop culture and entertainment and politics. So we really look forward to hopefully seeing you there, commenting, liking, whatever. I'm really, really excited about this new project. And I also really want to thank Ryan so much for promoting it every week. I can't thank you enough, really. That you've been, using your platform to help us out means the world to me. Thank you.
And by the time this comes out, you may have seen me on Garrison and with Sam. So we don't know. Maybe we'll see. So I don't know what the timing, how it will work, but yes, I am. So you're welcome. And I'm happy for you guys. So thank you for coming and for being wonderful parts of this wonderful Scream community. So All right. Next up, let's go over to Bria. Hey, Bria.
Hey Ryan, how are you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm good.
All right. So I'm trying to go back in my brain. I keep everyone's Scream ranking in a filing cabinet in my brain. I'm pulling out the Bria file right now. So I know it goes 1, 5. I don't remember where Scream 4 is. So where is Scream 4 in your ranking?
It's 1, 5, and I actually moved 3 up to 3, 2, 4, 6.
Nice, nice. So with that being said, what are your thoughts on Jill Roberts?
It's really funny because Scream 4 is so low, but Jill is my favorite Ghostface.
Whoa, love it.
Yeah, I just think she's crazy. She's crazy. And that her motive was like so ahead of its time, and she's just like so dark and just steals like the final act with everything she does.
Yeah. I think it's cool that, and I think that actually you represent a lot of people who possibly do rank Scream 4 a bit lower, but I think that honestly, I really believe that if we pooled every Scream fan in the world, I think Jill would come out as the number one Ghostface. Maybe Billy Loomis. We may be that basic as a Scream community, but I think it would be Jill. I just have a feeling like Jill is so iconic. She has such a strong fan base, even for people who aren't obsessed with Scream 4. So I think that's cool. Bria, do you have a favorite Jill quote?
Why are you supposed to go to college, grad school, work?
You know, no one has said this one yet, and I'm shocked. It's your ingenue days, they're over. Like that is Kevin Williamson, like at his peak. Like, I'm sorry, but like there is such a difference between when Kevin writes a line of dialogue and when any other writer writes a line of dialogue. I mean, like he has almost, and I don't want to speak of like, someone who makes people uncomfortable, but like it's like whenever you watch a Buffy episode and you watch an episode that's written by Joss Whedon, you watch an episode that's not written by Joss Whedon, you can tell a difference in the sharpness, the crispness, and that line of dialogue by Kevin Williamson, your ingenue days, they're over. That is that is crazy. I love that line. Like whenever like I saw Scream 4, I never heard of the word ingenue. I guess I was really young. But so I went through a phase with that quote.
One of my other favorite quotes is "Who are you, Michael fucking Myers?"
Also a good one because of like just because Michael Myers is the guy who just won't die. I think it's funny. I love Sydney being compared to him and not Laurie Strode. That's how Jill sees the world. She doesn't see Sydney as Laurie. She sees as Michael. I love it. So funny. Ash, do you have anything you want to add?
I wanted to just say that when you were talking about writers and Kevin, I think as a woman growing up and when a man can write a women's dialogue really well, where like it doesn't immediately make me go, huh? And I feel like that's what's so fun about the Scream movies is I really believe all of the dialogue. And I feel like one of my favorite things about Jill is how I agree. Like she's kind of dull and like lackluster at the beginning. And then she takes that mask off and it's literally like her body changes, like how she's standing changes. Everything like just like comes out of her. And it's just like, yeah, you were watching like she literally didn't have a mask on, but she had a mask on. Like she was masking everything for so long. And like you're finally seeing like the true person of who this person is. And like I don't even think anybody who knew her like had any idea who she really was.
Right.
And I think she's just chef's kiss and I love everybody. And Sam deserves an Oscar.
I agree. Oscars for Sam. But in terms of nobody really knowing who Jill is, I think that's such a cool thought. Because not even Charlie was the person who was involved with her, right? But she had her own plan that was separate from Charlie. So not even Charlie, and let's just say Kate was involved. Let's just say, not even Kate, because Kate was taken out, but so poor, in a way it's kind of sad. Nobody really knew. Jill must have been very lonely, for her to be that crazy and, not have anyone to talk to.
Charlie knew exactly what was going on when it comes to like the mechanics of everything, but he had no idea. Like he thought he was like, guys, I've got this. I've got the girl. And it's like, no, you're actually being manipulated so intensely much that like, you're just kind of a loser, dude.
Yeah. Listener Ashley is on the she's promoting anti-Charlie.
Charlie
tonight.
hate.
Yes.
I know. I don't like intentionally mean to. It just kind of like comes out of me naturally.
Hey, it's okay. Sometimes it happens with me in Scream 6. It's fine. Anyways, okay. Bria, back to you. Anything else you want to add about Jill or Emma or anything else about Scream 4?
I think like the self-mutilation scene, that was crazy. Like I've never seen anything like that before, and especially like in a Scream movie. Like not just I was just in shock. And the way Emma plays it, like she's amazing. She's
Yeah.
that final act.
The physicality, the violence, the type of action, the blocking in that scene, so epic and it's so cool. I think that it's just very original, a nice take on like taking the idea of a remake, because Billy and Stu mutilate each other, but they do it in a completely different way. So cool. So
Very epic and very dark.
yeah, exactly. Okay, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Bria Patterson. It's BREIA.
Awesome. All right, let's go over now to Detective Wallace. Hey, not Detective Haas or Perkins.
Detective Wallace is in the house.
How's it going?
It's good. It is good. I have Scream 3 on because I can't find the remote. It's not charged to put in my DVD to Scream 4. So I guess I'll just have to suffer and watch Scream 3 again.
So what are your thoughts on Jill Roberts?
You know, it's funny because you know Scream 4 has always, now it's kind of more in the middle, but early on, before we had 5 and 6, or at least before we had 6, Scream 4 was always kind of on the lower end of my ranking. Usually like flip-flopped between 2 and 4 being in last place. But for as low as I put it on the list, it is so quotable. And I don't know if anybody caught my dramatic reenactment of when Sam was listing his favorite line. I was saying it along with him because it is just so like from the whole, like there's so many good lines in that movie. And Jill is just so psychotic. She does it so well. Like she says, I was so believable. She's honestly a true mastermind.
So, Allie, I want to ask you something. You have no idea what's coming.
Oh,
You know,
my God.
So we have 3 openings. We have 3 endings. In the 3 openings, I believe that Kristen Bell taking, being the surprise and stabbing Anna Paquin, that is almost like a foreshadowing of Jill. I don't know. It's like the sweet girl the sweet girl from TV you don't expect is going to be the killer, and boom, she's the killer. I don't know. I just kind of I've always thought that as like subtle foreshadowing of Jill. And I don't know. What are your thoughts?
You know, I've never really thought about it that way, but it does make sense, and that I fucking love that opening.
Yeah.
I love that psych out. There's just something about a guy with a knife who snaps. I love it. And that was one of the things that I liked best about 4 when it came to all of the casting announcements, which kind of like, I don't know if they're going with the same kind of thing with so many names that we got for 7, but with that many at the time, kind of either up and coming or like blockbustery kind of names that we got with, the girl from Pretty Little Liars and the girl from, what the hell was she on? Shailene.
90210.
Yeah, that. With that, and then with Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell and Brie Robertson, like just getting all of those things, and then with the people before we knew who was who, like it really was kind of it was a nice way to like throw you for a loop in the beginning, to have like, here's a psych out. Nope, here's another psych out. Okay, now we're for real. To really get the juices flowing a little bit.
Right.
So, also, if you guys are gonna do a Kate Roberts episode, Mary McDonald's my girl. I'm in.
All right, we will.
Bring it.
We'll mark that down. So, Allie, where does Jill rank for you as a killer? Because she is, you and I are both Roman people.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I've ever ranked my killers. I think maybe I would put her 4th. Roman, Billy, Stu, Jill. I think. Just because obviously Roman, and I have so much respect for the first movie. but just for her like deviousness and sociopathic psychoticness, like you guys are right. Like, what the hell happened in, what was life like for her that turned her into that? Like, that had to have been one hell of a household.
Poor Kate. Well, we will figure it out on the Kate episode. So where can they find you online?
You can find me at X and Blue Sky, Allie_cat_BSG_ for X and hyphens for Blue Sky.
Awesome. All right. Okay, let's move over now to my friend Brian. Hey, Brian.
Hello. How have you been?
Good. It's so nice to talk to you.
I love Scream 4. It's my all-time favorite. So
I love that. And Jill's your favorite killer?
No, she's actually behind Detective Bailey. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, she's my favorite killer. So
hit me with it. So tell me, what do you love about Jill?
I think she's so chaotic, and she gives I don't know, I love the contrast between her and Sydney after her reveal. Like, she's just like, that energy, like powerful woman energy. Well, obviously she's not a woman in the movie, and in real life she was probably still a teenager, but she gives just like such a powerful female presence. Like, not even Charlie could handle her. Like, I don't know. I just love seeing a powerful woman. Like, in my group that I work with, like all of my team leaders are women. I just love seeing like Laurie Metcalf. I love her performance in 2, and I just love seeing a woman take charge. And she was so fierce.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about Jill. So fierce, chaotic. I'm like, that's me on my bad days, so I can relate a little bit, but I'm just kidding. But that's what I love about her.
Well, there's a confidence with Jill that I think if she didn't have, she would make no sense.
Yeah, she's so cocky. She really thought she was going to get away with it. She almost
really
did,
did.
But yeah, she really thought. It's a definition of like, oh, you really thought, huh? But
make it till you make it. Like, here's the thing about Jill. Like, the thing I admire about Jill, especially, like, I think like she has a plan through, the Kirby's house. But then after that, she is just charging ahead, and just her objective is to kill Sydney at the hospital, and she's just charging through. And she's like, I will figure out an explanation later, but right now we just gotta get shit done. And I respect that,
Yeah, she was hustling.
The thing is, I could actually see her. Let's just say she was successful and she killed Sydney and Gail and Dewey and Judy in the hospital.
Whoa.
I could see her figuring out something to explain it. I don't know what. I can't tell you a logical thing what, but I think that she's the type of person where she could have pulled something out of her ass. I don't know.
Yeah. At least in the Scream universe, right? Because then forensics would get involved in real life and all that stuff. But in the Scream universe, she would have probably done a Roman and been like, Sydney was the killer the whole time, and let me plan some stuff here and there to make it seem like she went crazy or whatever. But that's why she came back to town. Because I mean, there's a lot of coincidences that could have tied Sydney back, like her being in town at the same time. She could have been like, oh, she planted her own evidence in the trunk during the book signing meeting she had. So like there was little things that she could have been like, Sydney was a killer and she actually woke up and attacked me at the hospital, like, Scream universe stuff.
Or even Gail Weathers. I could see like Jill framing Gail and saying Gail was sleeping with Trevor, and she was going to she stabbed herself at the Sabathon to throw,
Yeah, she would have been Cougar Town mixed with Scream because being with Trevor.
Exactly.
But I had like 2 little things that I wanted to like randomly say about Scream 4, if that's okay.
Go for it.
So I saw some people in the chat be like, oh, the real mystery is like Jill's dad this, Jill's dad that. I have 2 things about Jill's dad. Wouldn't it be so crazy if Jill's dad was Tara's dad? Wouldn't that be so crazy?
Wow.
That would be crazy. And then like I think there was a missed opportunity throughout the script to mirror Jill's family life with Sydney's family life. Like Maureen equals Jill's dad and Kate equals Sid's dad. So like there was like an opportunity there to kind of like bring more lore into Jill's life and have it be like, where is her dad? Did her dad pass? Did Sydney's mom do something with Jill's dad? Did she mess up the household there as well? Like there were missed opportunities, I think, with that. But that's just me being nitpicky.
Well, and that's interesting because we always, most of us go to the place of like thinking Maureen equals Kate because they're sisters and the mom. But interesting that Kate equals Neil. I like it.
Yeah,
I like
because
it.
they're the present parent, you know. Although Kate is debatable as a present parent, but she's there, she's at home. And then my other point is that you had mentioned like, oh, Scream 3 and Scream 4 are like the hated sisters. And I'm like, I feel like people, you know how people are very like, oh, whatever has the most money, like Scream 6 is the best movie, whatever. I feel like if Scream 4 would have made more money, it wouldn't be as hated. Like that's one of my things is like I think that people are just like, oh, if it would have not quote unquote flopped, although it made more money than the other slashers in the 2000s, even more than the Halloween remake, which is a big IP. So I mean, I just think that if it would have made 20 million more and they would have gotten the sequel, I think it wouldn't be as hated. I think people are just like very like, oh, it's the flopped one, so we're gonna hate on it, you know?
Yeah, Scream 4 is an easy target for people to hate on because of the reputation, the fact that you have the objective measure of money, which doesn't matter, in terms of what a film is, right? But
exactly,
it's an easy target because of the money, because of the filter, because of the deleted scenes. Like it's an easy target, and the fact they didn't get a sequel. It's a very easy target. It's on its island. It's on an island of its own. I get that, and it's sad. But the truth is, Scream 4 has a lot to offer. And I think people are seeing that, and people feel it in terms of at least the social media commentary and how it's aging.
Agreed. So I just want to hit back. What was my favorite quote of Jill's? When she says, "Don't tell me you didn't think this day would come," after she stabs her the second time. I think that that's very dark. She kind of was like, I'm going to be the one to finally take you out. Like nobody, not even your own brother could take you out, but I'm going to be that bitch to take you out, Like she was very, like we said, she was very cocky and confident, and she really thought she was the one that was going to take her out. And I feel like it contrasts pretty well with Sydney saying you'll slip, they always do. Because although Jill was super cocky about it and she was like, oh, I'm the one that did it. Sydney was like, no, you're not. Like, that was like an indirect response to what Jill was saying. I don't know. I love that quote.
I like it too. I like that a lot as well. It's fitting for the moment and the potential of like, oh my God, Sydney's dying. Yes, and like Jill is the one, right? So I like that analysis a lot. So
yes,
Brian, thank you so much for coming and for your insights. You actually made me think like 3 times like in the past 10 minutes. I'm like, Scream 4 is that girl. She is that bitch.
She is. Thank you.
Of course, Brian. Thanks for coming. So I just have to share 2 quotes, and then we're going to go to the last Patreon here. Carrie T mentions we would have been a good team with our matching wounds and all. And Allie says, sick is the new sane. Iconic. You had your 15 minutes. Now I want mine. Again, Kevin Williamson, that right there. So, okay, Brett, bring us home.
If I had to rank Scream 4, it would definitely be high up there with 1 and 2 and 3. Like definitely high up there because I love the quadrilogy so much more than anything. Growing up with all of them since I was 3 years old, but Jill is hands down would have to be my 3rd favorite Ghostface ever. She definitely, like when she showed her true colors to Sydney, that look of pure shock. That's like Sydney has this look after being stabbed the second time. Like when she's being stabbed, you can see like she wants stuff. Like I think she was also tearing up when she got stabbed because that level of betrayal. She had no freaking idea what was in store right then and there. She had no idea going into that house.
And right, and it's just good to point out, like Sydney is the only reason she's at Kirby's house is because she went to save Jill. She thought she was protecting Jill, and then to have the person who are protecting turn on you, that's deep. So I agree with you there.
And the whole level of foreshadowing as well when we're finding out that when Ghostface says this line, it's a little foreshadowing. It's the family ties that cut deep. Yes. Am I right? Mm-hmm. And Sydney looks at, like, she has this look of, like, confusion, like, what does that even mean?
Love that line. Oh, I love that line.
And I think it was legitimately foreshadowing that it's all connected back to family. Because Ghostface is also wants to target someone and her family. But it turns out that the family member is actually the killer. Again, so we're back to Scream 3 a little bit, but I think it executed it amazingly well. I still want to explore that. Who the hell was her father and why wasn't he involved? And also, I would love for this to be an episode with Kate as well. It needs to be, because honestly, there's so much more lore to Kate. What did she deal with after her sister died? What was she going through? What happened?
All right, Brett, any final thoughts?
My friends, what world are you living in? I don't need friends. I need fans. Don't you get it? This never been about killing you. It's about becoming you. I mean, for fuck's sake, my mother had to die. No great loss that the original. That's sick, right? Well, sick is the new saying. You've had your 15 minutes now. I want mine. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Go to college, grad school, work? Look around. We're all in public now. We're all in it. How do you think people become famous anymore? You don't have to achieve anything. You just gotta have fucked up shit happen to you. So you do have to dice it. Those are the rules. New movie, new franchise. There's only room for one lead, and let's face it, your auctioning days, they're over.
Thank you, Brett, for all of your thoughts. Everybody, happy anniversary to Scream 4. Happy anniversary to Jill Roberts.
Scream with Ryan C. Showers is made possible by supporters like you. All copyrighted material used or referenced in this show belong to their rightful owners and made possible by the Fair Use Act.
And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
Get another beer, you want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back!